Part 68. The Strongest Assassin in the Server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 671. After smoking a cigarette, Ye Chen walked towards the hospital under the starry sky. It was useless to think too much, so Ye Chen could only take one step at a time. When he arrived at the ward, Xiaoro had already fallen asleep. She had just escaped from life-threatening danger and was much more sleepy than ordinary people. Ye Chen moved a stool and stayed by the bed. Suddenly, there was a slight creak sound, and the door opened. Seeing the person coming, Ye Chen stared and couldn't speak. The person coming was Yun Qian'er. "I saw that you were restless all day, so I followed you to see." Yun Qian'er forced a smile. A woman's sixth sense often puzzles men. Yun Qian'er had just been rescued, and she and Ye Chen had gone through the test of life and death, so they should be inseparable. However, Ye Chen was a little distracted all day, and his smile was not as bright as before. Yun Qian'er felt something was wrong, so she followed all the way to the hospital and found that Xiaoro was bedridden. The smart girl already had some clues. She mustered up her courage to open the door like this. Her eyes were red and tears were flashing. Escape is not a solution. Ye Chen sighed secretly, stood up, and gestured to Yun Qian'er. The two walked out of the ward one after the other and came to the quiet backyard. Ye Chen did not hide anything. He lit a cigarette and told Yun Qian'er everything that happened in the United States. Everyone has the right to choose happiness. At this point, Ye Chen did not think he was qualified to choose, so he could only give the choice to the two women. When Ye Chen said that he was heartbroken, made trouble to vent, and was knocked unconscious by the police and arrested in the cell, Yun Qian'er's face was already covered with tears. She reached out and rolled up the sleeve of Ye Chen's right hand. With the bright light, the huge black burn scar on Ye Chen's right arm looked a little shocking. This burn scar was the scar left by Ye Chen's hand when he blocked the police's electric baton. "You are so stupid." Yun Qian'er shed tears and reached out to touch the scar with heartache. "Someone is more stupid than me." Ye Chen reached out to help Yun Qian'er wipe her tears, and then told her about Xiaoro blocking the knife for him. At this point, Ye Chen finally couldn't deny that he had a place for Xiaoro in his heart. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so painful, and even if Yun Qian'er left because of this, he would have nothing to say. Looking at Ye Chen's face, listening to him talking about Xiaoro with guilt, Yun Qian'er's body froze and she was speechless for a long time. The atmosphere was deadlocked for a while, making people feel unbearable depression and heaviness. After a long time, Yun Qian'er just spoke faintly, "Ye Chen, that sister is willing to give her life for you, you can't let her down." Ye Chen looked at Yun Qian'er's eyes, and his eyes suddenly turned red. Qian, I." Ye Chen choked and couldn't speak. Yun Qian'er is both talented and beautiful, and her family background is prominent, so she has countless suitors. Ye Chen also assumed that Yun Qian'er would leave him because of this, but when this moment really came, Ye Chen just found that he was reluctant to let her go. Looking at Ye Chen's incoherent appearance, Yun Qian'er suddenly burst into laughter. "You won't let me down, right?" As she laughed, Yun Qian'er's tears burst out again, one string after another. She even cried so hard that her nose was dripping. She had no ladylike image at all. She cried completely and became a tearful person. She stretched out her little fist and beat Ye Chen's chest frantically. "Ye Chen, you bad guy, I hate you, I hate you. Love and hate." Yun Qian'er is like a proud swan. How can she be willing to share Ye Chen with another woman? But she can't leave Ye Chen, so she can only pretend to be generous and try to accept Xiaoro. But the tears that burst out completely betrayed her grievances and unwillingness in her heart. Just like this, it proves the purity of her love for Ye Chen. Everything is self-evident. Ye Chen reached out and grabbed Yun Qian'er's hands, hugging her tightly. "You are lucky, Humph, just like the emperor, with 3 wives and 4 concubines." After a while, Yun Chiener stopped crying in Ye Chen's warm arms and said faintly. Ye Chen smiled bitterly, how can I have 3 wives and 4 concubines? Besides, the emperors in ancient times all had a large harem. You are so beautiful, do you really want to be an emperor? Yun Chiener snorted proudly, and was so angry that she bit Ye Chen's shoulder. I really bite you. The pain made Ye Chen grimace in pain, and even cold sweat oozed from his forehead, but he felt relieved in his heart. In addition to being touched, there was only warmth in his heart. After this incident, Ye Chen felt a sense of sudden enlightenment in his heart. Hand in hand with Yun Chiener, the two returned to the hotel together. Next, Yun Chiener called Yun Haitian and his wife to announce the good news. Because of the time difference, it was dark here for Ye Chen and Yun Chiener, but it was daytime in China, so Yun Chiener didn't worry about disturbing her parents. Ye Chen also called Tank, Huo Wu, and others to report the good news. Xiaoro was out of danger. In order to avoid unnecessary worries, Ye Chen didn't talk about Xiaoro, but only said Yun Chiener's confidence in being rescued. Tank and others were naturally overjoyed and happy for Ye Chen. After reporting the good news and condolences, Ye Chen finally started to inquire about the things in the game. As expected, John was still developing wildly in this month and expanding his advantage. Zaoshan.com He has become a higher god and mastered the new laws to repair the damaged godhood. Now John is undoubtedly the best in the server. No one can compete with him. John led his team to fight back the American war zone and occupied the Chinese war zone in a targeted manner, causing all players in the Chinese war zone to lose their military ranks. Sun Yang, Jian Wuhan, and others lost their martial rank and full-level fighting spirit, falling into an absolute disadvantage. The current Chinese war zone is led by Sun Yang, the thief god. During Ye Chen's absence, Sun Yang's aura was not suppressed. In this month, he became more powerful than you can imagine. He also became a high-level god, mastering nearly 20 laws, with a lot of artifacts and magic weapons all over his body. That's right, Sun Yang even represented the god realm to attack the demon realm, and achieved many results. As the saying goes, there is no room for 2 tigers in one mountain, and Sun Yang's potential is definitely not inferior to Ye Chen. In the game, no matter which area, resources are relatively limited. When Ye Chen was there, he suppressed Sun Yang with his domineering power, and Ye Chen had priority in obtaining all resources. Of course, Sun Yang had no objection to this. After all, Ye Chen had saved Sun Yang. In Sun Yang's eyes, Ye Chen was both a teacher and a friend. However, it was undeniable that Ye Chen's existence had hindered Sun Yang's development to a certain extent. Ye Chen had been away for only a month, and Sun Yang had risen like a rocket. Like Ye Chen at the beginning, Sun Yang was now qualified to fight John, and even, because of some strange magic weapons, John would be defeated. Unfortunately, John's law of decay was still 2 against the sky. Sun Yang had fought with John several times, but he never won. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 672. In addition to the current status and situation of the game, the next step is the World Series. The World Series was officially held as early as June 1st, and it has been 5 days since today, and the competition has reached its highest point. Although Ye Chen is not in the Chinese team, Sun Yang, Jian Wuhan, and others are not good at it. Naturally, they have passed all the way and have advanced to the top 8 in the world. Okay, I'll be online right away. I will participate in the next events. That would be great. Searched Can on Google. After the call with Tank, Huo Wu, and others, Ye Chen immediately took a shower, lay on Yun Chiener's bed, and then started the latest device, a smart bracelet, and entered the game. System, welcome, I wish you a pleasant journey. As the system prompt sounded in his ears, Ye Chen logged into the game for the first time in a long time. It has not been online for more than a month, and the changes in the game are neither big nor small. In order to avoid being confused during the game, Ye Chen first went to fight monsters for a while and became familiar with the skills several times, and then entered the international arena. This international arena is obviously a special space specially opened by the system for the World Series. Although Ye Chen has not been online recently, Mao Mao helped him buy tickets for the auditorium as always. International Arena, Auditorium. With a flash of white light, Ye Chen sat in the center of Tank and the others. The surrounding circle was almost filled with familiar people. Sun Yang, Jian Wuhan, Shang Wang, Lan Yan, Taishan, and others are also here. Everyone seemed very excited when they discovered Ye Chen's arrival. "Brother, you are finally online, let us wait," everyone started making noises. "Sorry, I was late because I dealt with some personal matters." Ye Chen smiled humbly, because everyone knew about his affairs. Ye Chen didn't say much and quickly changed the subject. Because China has the most players, to a certain extent, China has the most consumers. This is also seen by controlling parties in various countries. Therefore, all major events will be based on China's time. Ye Chen is now in the United States, it seems to be late at night, but due to the time difference, it happens to be daytime in China, which is when the World Series is held. In the World Series, 8 will advance to 4. The opponents and the process of the competition have already been determined. At present, the participating teams in the first round have already taken the field and are fighting fiercely, causing the audience to scream crazily. Because it is an international arena, those sitting in the auditorium are players and spectators from all over the world, and everyone has different supporters. Our Chinese team is participating in the second round, which is the next round, and our opponent is the German team. King Shang immediately explained the situation to Ye Chen. Ye Chen just smiled at this, but turned to Sun Yang and said, "God of Thieves, the game against the German team is left to you. After encountering John's American team later, it will be up to me to harvest. In short, as long as we advance in the finals, the World Championship is ours." Ye Chen knows himself very well. Having not been online for more than a month, although Ye Chen is still a top player, looking at the entire server, there are at least a dozen players who have surpassed him, and there may be more. After all, he is just a lower god, mastering nearly 20 laws, but only has 1 million followers. At present, in addition to John, Sun Yang, and George, there are more than 10 people who have been promoted to higher gods and 100 million followers. Because of this, Ye Chen is not sure, so he will not pretend to be fat, and just leave it to Sun Yang, the thief god. When encountering John's American team, Ye Chen will use Time Storm to teach them how to behave. What about a high-level god who masters 2 to 30 laws and is full of faith? In front of the God Emperor, he was still like an ant. Good. Sun Yang also knew Ye Chen's current situation, so he agreed immediately and smiled slightly, showing 2 rows of white teeth. Watching the game patiently, the game finally ended and the whole audience was thunderous. The victors are proud, while the losing team is dejected. Of course, even a losing team that can reach the top 8 in the world is worthy of fans' support. After a 10-minute break, the second round began, with the Chinese team versus the German team. The first round, a 5-person team battle. The 5 main players of the Chinese team, Ye Chen, Sun Yang, Jian Wuhan, Shang Wang, and Lan Yan, are on the field. After the quarterfinals, every team is very strong, and there is no way or need to retain their strength. Ye Chen kept saying that he would leave it to Sun Yang, but since he was back, he naturally couldn't sit on the bench. And as Ye Chen came on the stage, the entire auditorium suddenly stood still for 3 seconds, and the whole audience could hear the needle drop. Then there was a huge cheer, setting off a terrifying sound wave that seemed to tear people's eardrums apart. Ye Chen's influence is so great that even though he has not been online for more than a month, now that he is online, he is still the focus of everyone's attention. Overlord Yagamai. Finally the king returns. The return of the Dog King, he was suppressed by John and forced him to quit the game, www.Zhao. He hid for more than a month before coming back. He is simply a coward. Damn it. You're so awesome, how about you come on? That's right. Overlord is not the kind of person who can't afford to lose. The boss of the God of Thieves has also come forward to explain. Boss Overlord retired for a month because of some personal matters. Now he is back, and his domineering spirit is still there. SB, you are a bunch of idiot fans. Yagami is trash. No matter what, it is a fact that he lost to John. Now he has not played for a month. Why do you still praise him so much? Well, a lot has changed in 1 month. It was before, but now, I think the boss of the thieves is the leader in our Chinese war zone. No, although the thief god boss is awesome asterisk, he still lacks a little bit of domineering power compared to the night god boss. The entire audience was caught up in crazy discussions, with endless applause, cheers, screams, curses, and contempt. The referee appointed by the system did not dare to blow the whistle for a long time, even he did not dare to give up easily because of the fan frenzy caused by Ye Chen's return. Public opinion can make or break a person. Ye Chen's popularity and influence are so high that he is many times more powerful than some so-called first-line stars. Even after quitting the drug for more than a month, this fever has never gone down. This is the bottom line. Even if Sun Yang comes from behind, in the hearts of countless Chinese players, Sun Yang's status as the thief god is still not as good as Ye Chen. Ye Chen's name as Overlord has become a kind of belief. Everyone blindly believed that if anyone could defeat John, it would be Night God. There are still many sunspots who are belittling and deliberately smearing Ye Chen, but they can't cover up the aura that Ye Chen has established through his previous military exploits. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 673. Humph, a mere lower god, trash. Listen, no matter how popular Ye Chen is, we don't need to care about him. Target the god of thieves, and we will win this game. The German team played 5 main players at the same time, 1 upper god and 4 middle gods. The upper god was the only title king in the German war zone, ID, add 1 ER, which literally translates to eagle in English. He is a musketeer, using 2 guns, and is called the double gun eagle. Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Before the game started, the double gun eagle made the final mobilization and issued orders. It is obvious that the double gun eagle is not optimistic about Ye Chen, because as long as Sun Yang is targeted to death, he can win. Then, the Chinese team versus the German team, 3, 2, 1, start. When the audience gradually calmed down, the referee quickly counted down and announced the start of the game. Explosive fire technique. Ice wall. At the first moment, a German middle-level god used the instant pyrotechnics to shoot out a large and exaggerated fireball, like a scorching sun, smashing towards Ye Chen and others. At the same time, Lan Yan pressed the ground with one hand in a chic manner, and a huge and thick ice wall was propped up in the open space in front of the huge fireball, emitting a strong cold air to block the fireball. With a bang, the fireball collided with the ice wall, producing a deafening buzzing sound, and at the same time, a huge steam was steamed, instantly covering the entire battlefield. On the ring, the field of vision dropped by more than half. In the audience seats outside the venue, everyone stared at the ring with wide eyes, staring at the ring without blinking, for fear of missing a wonderful moment. Taking advantage of this gap, the players of both sides tacitly opened BFFs crazily, and each BFF had special effects, such as the Berserker's Rage, which could cause earthquakes. Lights of various colors climbed onto each member. When the steam dissipated, the members of both sides were already fighting at close range. "Little guys, follow me to kill the thief god first," Ying shouted, raised his double guns and fired at Sun Yang. But he really underestimated Sun Yang. Such a simple attack without tactics, how could it be useful to Sun Yang? Strong hide. What's more, Sun Yang is a thief. Once he moves, he disappears without a trace. Magic skill, Howl of Terror. In the sky, the sound of ghosts and wolves howling for no reason sounded, disturbing the thoughts of Ying and others. They fell into a state of confusion and wandered around in the air. On the other side, Ye Chen had already opened BFF. His whole body was dark gold, and there was a cold texture of metal, which gave people a strong visual impact. Ye Chen rushed out and spun in the air, breaking the armor of one of the enemies, and then stabbed him to death. Spinning stab. Whatever the middle god or upper god, as long as Ye Chen caught the armor, they would all be killed instantly. Of course, since the opponent is a middle-level god or a high-level god, as long as he masters the law of agility and has full followers, he will be several times or even dozens of times faster than Ye Chen in terms of speed. However, the 5 members of the opponent were all controlled by Sun Yang's magic skills, and they were simply live targets. Ye Chen's powerful explosive power and violent destructive power were fully demonstrated. After easily killing one person, Ye Chen rushed out again, turned into a battle gyroscope, and quickly hit an enemy. The violent whirlwind generated a strong suction force, which made the man completely stuck on the gyroscope. The battle gyroscope continued to move and directly dragged the guy away. Next, the gyroscope hit one enemy after another and stuck them all. In less than a second, Ye Chen seemed to have stuck all 4 people together and cancelled the blade storm. Shocking star. Ye Chen knocked down with a stick, causing a powerful shockwave, making the space in all directions seem to be cracked. The 4 people, including Ying, had been broken by the sword storm before. Now the shock star hit them, ignoring defense and resistance. The next moment, 3 people fell directly and turned into corpses and fell down. Ying, he is not dead yet. Impossible, even if he has no military rank and lost his full-level fighting spirit. The real damage of the shock star is at least several trillion. Could it be that Ying still has several trillion HP? Ye Chen frowned slightly, puzzled in his heart. However, he was puzzled, and it was his puzzlement. He killed 4 people in a second. Although Sun Yang helped control it, he still showed his absolute strength. A series of screams rang out in the audience. Overlord Night God is still very strong. Since the server was launched, the gap between the top and ordinary players has been widened. The battles between the top players are often killed in seconds, all relying on realm, equipment, and skills, and it is difficult to reflect the skills. However, Night God's set is simply smooth, showing the skills, awareness, and prediction to the fullest. Yes, the rumor that the late stage relies only on equipment is self-defeating. Even if ordinary people use Night God's account, can they achieve such a smooth effect? Overlord Night God is very strong. Before he returned, although the Chinese war zone successfully entered the quarter-finals under the leadership of the God of Thief, but it was often caught in a tough battle. Now there is another Night God, and he is a lower-level god, but .zhshhy has undergone earth-shaking changes. Awesome, no explanation. Now who the hell says that my boss Night God is weak? I will be the first to get angry. Suddenly, the audience seats shook like thunder, which showed how popular Ye Chen was. On the other side, John, George, and even all the title kings in other battle zones looked at the boiling audience seats and just smiled contemptuously. As for the title kings, which one's skills are not at the peak? In the battle between title kings, it is difficult to show the skills, because everyone's skills have reached a certain limit. But if the title king fights down, beats the king, or even the elite player, it is a crushing victory, and the skills alone can crush it. On the ring. When Ye Chen was puzzled, he glanced at the blood bar of the double gun eagle and found that he still had more than half of his blood volume, which made him even more confused. Could it be that the double gun eagle's HP is broken? Suddenly a light flashed, and Sun Yang appeared behind the eagle. With a backstab, the sharp dagger penetrated the back of the eagle. Magic skill blood explosion. With a bang, the eagle's body exploded, and a thick and pungent blood mist rose in the sky. Sun Yang was indeed strong. With one move, he killed the eagle that Ye Chen could not kill instantly. Boss Ye Chen, the system has been revised, and the limit of armor penetration has been relatively weakened. You are now a lower level god, and you can break armor to the limit when facing lower level gods. But when facing middle level gods, the effect is halved, and when facing upper level gods, the effect is weakened by more than 10 times. After killing the eagle, Sun Yang turned around and explained the situation to Ye Chen with a calm face. It seems that in his eyes, killing the eagle is not worth mentioning at all, and it is far less important than explaining the situation to Ye Chen. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 674. Oh, that's how it is. Ye Chen nodded, his face showing a look of realization, but he didn't care too much. With his strength, I believe it won't take long for him to be promoted to the upper god. In that case, the so-called weakening of the limit armor penetration does not exist at all. Chinese team versus German team. In the first round, the Chinese team won the 5-man team battle, leading 1-0. Google searched Can. Next, the second round, the ring points competition officially began. The Chinese team took the lead, and Ye Chen went on the court directly, making the opponent silent for a while, and finally sent a middle god to fight. Because Ye Chen is not an upper god after all, his limit armor penetration cannot exert all its power. If the double gun eagle plays in person, Ye Chen will most likely lose. However, as the trump card of the German team, the double gun eagle cannot be easily used. The upper god fights the lower god, and he will only get 1 point if he wins. At that time, Sun Yang, Jian Wuhan, Lan Yan, who should the German team send to the court? Therefore, for the final victory of the team, the German team can only send out a middle-level god. This is like Tianji's horse racing. As a high-level god and a high-quality horse, Yang certainly wants to get a point, but in order to weaken the opponent's strength, he wants to defeat the middle-level horse to get a point, rather than defeating Ye Chen, a low-level horse. Go all out and get a point first. Ye Chen is just a low-level god. The last defeat was due to the control of the thief god. Ye Chen alone is nothing, so don't have any psychological pressure before going on the court. Yang reached out and patted the shoulder of the middle-level god, encouraging him. The game started, and to everyone's surprise, although Ye Chen was only a low-level god, he was definitely not a low-level horse. Ye Chen's extreme armor breaking was weakened by the middle-level god, but the degree was not great. After Ye Chen broke the armor, he killed the middle-level god in one move. Ye Chen took the lead and scored a point, which made Yang regret it. The next game was very simple. Sun Yang, Jian Wuhan, and Lan Yan took action one after another. Yang targeted Jian Wuhan and scored a point, but Sun Yang and Lan Yan won smoothly. The fifth game did not need to be played at all. The Chinese team won 3-1. So, the Chinese team versus the German team, 2-0, successfully advanced to the top 4 in the country. As time passed, in the next game, the top 4 in the country were finally determined, namely the Chinese team, the American team, the Italian team, and a very strong United Nations team. Continue to draw lots to determine the process of the semi-finals. The American team versus the Italian team. The Chinese team versus the United Nations team. John led the American team to crush with absolute advantage, like bullying a child, and defeated the Italian team completely, and successfully advanced to the finals. In contrast, the Chinese team was in a difficult battle. In the first round, the 5-man team won the battle. In the second round, the ring points match, they lost 2-3. Fortunately, in the third round, the ring final match, Sun Yang won the victory with a strong 1-on-5. Helped the Chinese team advance to the finals. The finals, the Chinese team versus the American team. The two strongest teams finally met in the finals, and such a development made all the audience outside the venue excited. Everyone cheered for their favorite teams and players and cheered. There were even some merchants who couldn't sit still and acted as dealers in the black market, attracting countless people to bet. The finals were about to begin, but John seemed a little distracted. More than half of the audience outside the venue supported him, but he turned a blind eye. Others didn't know, but he knew that Ye Chen would definitely use that perverted BFF in this game and reach the realm of the God Emperor in an instant. Today is different from the past. The last time he fought to the death with Ye Chen, he was just a lower level god. Now, John is a superior god, and the strongest superior god, and the most favorable competitor for the next generation of God Emperor in the God realm. However, the superior god is only an superior god after all, and is completely different from the God Emperor. Now facing Ye Chen, he has no confidence at all. What should I do, boss? During the game, Ye Chen will definitely activate that heaven-defying BFF and reach the realm of God Emperor in an instant. Are you sure? Asked a subordinate. I don't know. John narrowed his eyes and shook his head irritably. The first round of the team competition started soon, and the members of both sides entered the field, which immediately attracted a series of screams from the audience. Tisk tisk, the American team is indeed the American team. Including John and George, these 5 main players are actually upper gods. Yeah, it's terrible. Other teams are amazing if they have 1 or 2 upper gods. In comparison, this American team is really abnormally strong. It seems that the Chinese team will definitely lose, but they deserve praise for being able to get here. A series of noises rang out in the audience, but it did not have the slightest impact on the contestants on the ring. It can be seen how focused these contestants were during the game. Ye Chen. If you have the guts, win with your real strength, don't use that BFF. John stared at Ye Chen and sneered coldly. Haha, is it possible? Ye Chen sneered and didn't care. While the two sides were arguing, the countdown ended and the game officially began. Magic skill, eye explosion. Sun Yang took the lead, his eyes condensed, and the evil magic on his face flashed away. The other party, including John, had 5 upper gods. Their eyes exploded for no reason, raising a blood mist. Looking at John and others, they no longer had eyeballs, leaving only a pair of hideous and empty bloody eye sockets. Such a bloody and cruel scene caused a burst of screams from the audience. Of course, many people felt satisfied and thought that Sun Yang's magic skills were weird and powerful. John and the other 5 lost their eyes and vision in a short period of time. Since they are upper gods, they have more or less some perceptions. If Ye Chen and others rush over, they can also deal with it. But now, they are very passive, because they have no vision and limited perception. They can't see Ye Chen and others, and can only worry. Time storm. Ye Chen almost didn't hesitate and decisively broke the time storm. For a while, a black tornado burst out from Ye Chen's body, stirring the world. 3 seconds later, Ye Chen became a god emperor. At the same time, John and others' eyeballs grew back and regained vision. It's over. Feeling the familiar pressure again, John's face was covered with cold sweat, and his body was shaking slightly because of trembling. Suddenly, Ye Chen moved. Between steps, the scene changed, and the international arena suddenly disappeared. The contestants and all the audience were brought into the primitive universe by Ye Chen. Ye Chen crossed a star in 1 step. Such a weird thing made all the audience scream. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, Ba Wang Shi San. Chapter 675. Above the 9 heavens, the divine realm. In the divine emperor tower, the 5 old guys sat together again, worrying about the country and the people, and discussing countermeasures. Suddenly, another divine light enveloped them, startling the 5 people. It's him. He finally appeared again. Well, we can't hesitate this time, quickly issue a task to summon him. The 5 old guys looked at each other, nodded, and issued a task to Ye Chen. At the same time, in the human world, the international arena, Ye Chen's vast divine power overflowed, causing the scene to change and turn into a prehistoric universe. A system prompt suddenly sounded in his ears, but at this time, he obviously had no intention of checking, and slashed with a knife, blowing up the planet. All the audience were dumbfounded, and cold sweat poured down. More than a month ago, everyone had heard about the final battle between Ye Chen and John. Ye Chen was so powerful that he blew up a war zone with one move. However, most people didn't see it with their own eyes. At this time, being there in person is amazing. Damn. It's just a game, why do you have to make it so exaggerated? Turning the scene into the universe, crossing a planet in one step, and blowing up a planet with one move, it's really outrageous. Hiss. Awesome, if Ye Chen is so powerful, why did he lose to John? Really? You are not a professional player? The news is so outdated. Ye Chen's strength is not real strength, but just a BFF. And I heard that this BFF lasts for 10 minutes and has a cooldown time of 10 days. It can be said to be a flash in the pan, a moment of beauty. So that's it? Then the BFF is not very meaningful. No matter how big it is, you see, Ye Chen is now invincible. In the audience seats in the universe, all kinds of discussions and screams rang out. At the same time, Ye Chen swung his sword repeatedly, blowing up huge stars. The large range of his attack made John and others have no escape, and they fell in a row in just a few seconds. The first round of the game ended, and the Chinese war zone won and scored a point. Listen, we are almost certain to win the second round of the ring points competition. Every ring, drag it to the last second. Ye Chen's BFF only has 10 minutes. We will use up his time. In the third round, we can turn defeat into victory and finally win the World Championship. Before the second round of the game, John made the final pre-war mobilization. Each ring has a maximum of 3 minutes. After the time is up, if no one on both sides dies, it depends on whose health bar is longer to determine the winner. Seeing the horror of the God Emperor again, John was confused. He had no confidence at all to fight with Ye Chen at the moment. He could only think of a dirty way to consume Ye Chen's time. Soon, the second round of the game began. The Chinese war zone took the lead, and Jian Wuhan took the lead, while the American team randomly sent out a high-level god. When he saw his opponent, Jian Wuhan knew that he would lose this time, but he still had to fight, and he had to fight quickly. It doesn't matter if he loses, a quick battle will be decided. In the third round, Ye Chen swept the opponent as usual. However, the opponent was just as he thought. After the game started, he was very cowardly, he didn't attack at all, but only dodged Jian Wuhan's various skills at a faster speed. Time passed by, and Jian Wuhan was sweating. He now realized the opponent's tactics, it was just to delay time and drag out the duration of Ye Chen's time storm. By then, he could turn defeat into victory in the third round. What a good plan! Jian Wuhan was impatient and used his long sword. All things withered. Dimensional blade. However, Jian Wuhan had just swept out the withered yellow light wave, and the opponent broke the space and produced a black hole. The turbulence of time and space in the black hole instantly swallowed up the withered light wave. One move resolved it, and the opponent still did not pursue the victory and continued to be cowardly. He waited until 2 minutes and 58 seconds before he started to attack. As expected, the upper god attacked and killed Jian Wuhan, the lower god, in one move. 2 minutes and 59 seconds. Well, you did a good job, John nodded, and the second round of the ring began. Lan Yan came on the court, and the enemy upper god still couldn't even touch him with one move. He was beaten by the opponent for 2 minutes and 59 seconds before he was killed. Such a wretched match, the audience has already started to curse. However, the members of both sides were sweating. It was originally a time game, and 1 or 2 seconds might change the final result. Everyone must be nervous. Listen, lose the third round for me. But if you lose, you have to drag it to the last second to lose, John said calmly. He couldn't win the third round. Because once he won, then 3-0, the second round of the ring points game would be over. In that case, how could he waste Ye Chen's time? We must lose the third round. In this way, 3-0, the second round is over. They can't waste my time, Ye Chen said in a deep voice. Oh, leave it to me then. Tank went straight to the court, and after the game started, he actually sat down on the ground. This kind of international competition does not allow surrender or suicide, so Tank had an idea. Seeing this, the audience suddenly boiled over, and all kinds of dissatisfied curses rang out. Look at these so-called gods, are they decent? It's the finals of Zayaxia.C's World Championship. It doesn't matter if you don't play well, but now there is actually SB sitting on the ground, what a sin. Oh my god, look, everyone, that bastard named Tank, he actually lay down to sleep. There is no professional quality, I want a refund. The audience immediately became noisy, with all kinds of curses rising and falling. In the arena. Come on, son, Daddy will give up this game to you. Tank was lying on the ground, supporting his head with one hand, and hooking up with the other hand, provoking the opponent playfully. Shameless. Shameless. Give it a good fight. In the auditorium, there was all kinds of shouting. It made Ye Chen and others feel embarrassed. It's hard for him to endure the humiliation and bear the burden. King Shang shook his head and glanced apologetically at Tank's ecstatic back on the ring. Originally, this battle was his, but Tank helped him carry it. He's not bearing the humiliation, he's really shameless. Big Fried Chicken, Lan, and others were arguing next to each other, laughing non-stop. The Tank's skill is amazing. However, they did not expect that when faced with Tank's naked provocation, the other party, instead of getting angry, would actually smile teasingly. Tank? You want to lose? I'm sorry, I am the loser in this game. The man smiled obscenely, stretched out his hand, and a black light enveloped himself. -500. It's actually a curse. And yes, curse yourself. Okay, now you have full health, but I don't. Just go to sleep. I happen to be sleepy too. The wretched guy smiled and fell to the ground. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 676. Damn, those two bastards have no morals and no bottom line. What a waste of tickets. Yeah, who would have thought that the finals would be like this? On the field, the shamelessness of Tank and the other two refreshed the audience's cognition, and they began to curse. But Tank couldn't sit still at this time. The reason was that the opponent cursed him and turned into a non-full blood state. In this way, after 3 minutes, the system will judge him as the winner. This is not allowed. Never before, for the first time, Tank hopes that he will lose. Shameless, shameless. Tank has no bottom line, but I didn't expect that the opponent has no bottom line. In the team seat, Sun Yang, Jian Wuhan, Shang Wang, and others were also stunned by the situation on the field. While cursing the opponent for being shameless, they were also nervous and sweating. Soon 3 minutes passed, because Tank was full of blood and the opponent was not full of blood. The system judged that Tank won. The second round of the ring points game, 2:1, has not yet decided the winner, and then the fourth game began. As of now, the duration of the nighttime storm is still more than 40 seconds. Leave it to me next, don't worry, I won't let the other party drag it down, Sun Yang sneered and entered the ring. Seeing Sun Yang on the stage, John took the lead and went on stage himself. John, I won't let you delay time, I advise you to give up this idea. Also, be careful of falling into my hands, Sun Yang laughed evilly. He is the most independent and unconventional person. Obviously, he is a superior god, with more magic weapons than divine weapons, and his methods are strange and unpredictable. Even if he surrenders to the demon clan one day, I'm afraid no one will be surprised. Although the main task advocates killing and destroying demons. But every player can choose his own position, even if he does not do the main task, it doesn't matter. Moreover, since there is a main task, there must be a corresponding villain task on the demon clan side. Humph. Hearing this, John snorted immediately, but his expression became slightly solemn. Obviously, even he did not dare to underestimate Sun Yang. The countdown ended soon and the game began. Magic skill, eye explosion. Sun Yang's face flashed with a strange color, and he took the initiative to blow up John's eyeball for no reason. John was blinded. Sun Yang rushed out like a ghost, just approaching John's position of 10 yards, John seemed to have sensed something, and took out his big sword, slashed a lightning bolt towards Sun Yang. Obviously, John's perception was not low, at least more than 10 yards, even if he was blind. But within the perception range, he could still fight back. The sharp lightning exploded in the air and hit Sun Yang directly. Sun Yang leaned back suddenly, and the amplitude was so large that he lay down directly, avoiding the lightning, and then kicked his feet, and used the strong inertia to rush towards John at a faster speed. Bang bang bang. Sun Yang and John slashed at each other, flashing swords and shadows, stirring up a series of sparks, and roaring continuously. This fierce collision really made the audience very excited. After all, the previous few arenas were too boring. Magic skill, blood explosion. This is a passive skill. It is obviously a magic skill, but it has a bit of the flavor of the supreme law of destruction. During Sun Yang's attack, John's body produced a series of explosions, and he was seriously injured. John was secretly anxious. He was too passive now. If he didn't go all out, it would be easy to capsize in the ditch. Immediately, John's face became fierce, and he directly used a killing move and slashed at Sun Yang with a sword. When the danger came, Sun Yang showed a playful smile. He could obviously dodge, but he didn't. On the contrary, he reversed the law of light elements to the extreme, reducing all light intensity and light resistance to 0. And John happened to be a light attribute attack, and with one sword, he actually split Sun Yang in half. Hiss. What's going on? With the power of the thief god, he shouldn't be killed by John's sword. Yeah, it's very strange, could it be that John is hiding his strength? Seeing the scene on the ring, the audience outside the venue suddenly boiled. Only a few top masters understood, it was obvious that Sun Yang did it on purpose. With Sun Yang's defeat. In the second round of the ring points competition, the Chinese team versus the American team, the Chinese team lost 1-3. John's eyeballs grew back, and he was obviously winning, but he looked gloomy, and even shouted hysterically, "Thief God, you are plotting against me." At the beginning of the game, Sun Yang was strong and brave, and looked like he wanted to take John down. But at the last moment, he suddenly stopped. As a high god with full faith power, Sun Yang's light resistance is more than 300 million. He reversed the law of light elements and reduced the light resistance to 0, At that moment, John's attack power suddenly increased by 3 million times. 3 million times, my goodness, how can we fight this? It is normal for Sun Yang to be killed by a sword. But all this is a trap set by Sun Yang. All is fair in war, anyway, this time, you lose. After the game, Sun Yang resurrected and smiled at John. For the Chinese team, this second round is not important at all. Losing is losing. Sun Yang ended the battle at the fastest speed, which is equivalent to buying time for Ye Chen. Wuzayashi. See. As long as Ye Chen is still within the duration of the time storm, it is stable. The third round, the final match of the ring. Ye Chen, with the realm of the God Emperor, took on 5 people and won the victory without any suspense. So, the Chinese team versus the American team, the Chinese team won the first World Championship with a score of 2-1. Pa pa pa. The whole audience was thunderous. Although the finals were not as exciting as everyone imagined, and even felt bored and angry in the middle, but when the final result came out, everyone couldn't help but be excited and excited. You know, the World Championship was also broadcast live in various countries in reality. In this way, Wu Yi once again piled Ye Chen's reputation and popularity to an unprecedented height. At the same time, the value of all members of the Chinese team, including substitutes, skyrocketed. Once a year, with the invasion of capital next year, it will definitely be more popular. Jian Wuhan, Lan Yan, Tank, and others, as long as they continue to be professional players, their future can be said to be smooth sailing. As for Sun Yang, it goes without saying. I believe that it won't be long before his popularity is probably second only to Ye Chen. Some are happy, some are worried. John, George, and others looked gloomy. Ye Chen. The world champion is nothing, don't be too proud, and you beat me in such a tricky way, I'm afraid no one will accept it. John stared at Ye Chen and roared angrily. Obviously, he said so, but he was so depressed that he almost vomited blood because he missed the world championship. Don't worry, one day, I will beat you fair and square. Ye Chen waved his hand, with a victorious attitude. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 677. Humph. Honest. How can you beat me except by suppressing me with the time storm? John laughed like a madman. In the earthquake in the United States, even the life detector did not find Yun Qian'er, but Ye Chen did, and he called it the power of love. The speed of information dissemination in the United States is quite fast. John saw the news at the first time, and suddenly, he felt mixed emotions. Ye Chen and Yun Qian'er were a couple, and after this incident, their relationship was naturally stronger. In other words, John was actually heartbroken. Ye Chen was proud of his love, and now he has won the world championship anyway. John felt resentful and couldn't bear to see Ye Chen's complacent look. Time storm. Moment of beauty. Duration is 10 minutes, cooling time is 10 days. Using this method to achieve a short-term victory, what's the point? In the past month, John represented the American theater and captured and occupied multiple theaters, including the Chinese theater. This record is only one step away from dominating the entire server. In John's opinion, he was the one who deserved to enjoy the glory and be the center of attention, but Ye Chen, with just a little bit of luck, took away everything he should have. He was not convinced. Don't worry, I won't let you wait too long. The so-called upright means that you will be convinced. Ye Chen sneered, waved his hand, and walked away as a winner. Only John was left gritting his teeth and feeling resentful. Coming out of the international arena, Sun Yang, Jian Wuhan, King Shang, Tank, and others all had smiles on their faces that could not be concealed. Today is a really good day, Boss Shang Wang, you are rich, can you treat us to a meal? Tank smiled and licked his face. I am rich, but the most dazzling person who won the world championship this time is Ye Chen. What's the matter? We should all give him a good beating. King Shang waved his hand and smiled, throwing the ball to Ye Chen. Brother, are you still in the United States? Come back soon, we are waiting for you to treat us. Tank punched Ye Chen's chest carelessly. It's okay to treat you, you can eat as much as you want, just let Xiaomao swipe my salary card. Ye Chen smiled and said, I won't go back to China for the time being. I will treat you to a big meal after I beat John into submission. Xiaoro has just escaped from life-threatening danger and needs to rest, so it is not suitable for running around. Ye Chen can't leave her and go back to China first. Okay, we can't change your decision. Anyway, it's your treat, we are happy to eat 2 meals, haha. Tank laughed and resolved the awkward atmosphere. Soon, everyone said goodbye to Ye Chen, turned into white light and went offline, ready to eat a big meal. After a while, only Ye Chen was left. Xiaoro has completely escaped from life-threatening danger and recovered her health and vitality. It is just a matter of time. Ye Chen doesn't need to worry too much about this matter. Although Yun Qian'er was upset, she finally admitted Xiaoro. And Xiaoro, knowing that Ye Chen and Yun Qian'er were a couple, still risked her life to save Ye Chen, which explained everything. 2 wives. Ye Chen could fully imagine that his future happy life would definitely not be so peaceful. There were more than 1 or 2 children, so he had to worry about them. Of course, Ye Chen would not take advantage of all the happiness he had, and he would be tired, but it was worth it. Future life, enjoy it in the future. Then, right now, we need to defeat John in an upright manner and truly dominate the entire server. When he thought of this, Ye Chen's eyes were slightly stern. Task? Oh, by the way, I seem to have received a task during the time storm. Ye Chen touched his chin and opened the task list belatedly. There was only 1 task hanging on the huge task bar, because Ye Chen rarely did tasks, and to be honest, he was unwilling to do them because he thought it was troublesome. Ye Chen did not accept the current task, but was assigned it compulsorily. It must be extraordinary. The first stage task, respond to the call of the 5 God Emperors, arrive at the God Realm, and meet the 5 Emperors. The ultimate task? Awesome. Ye Chen was slightly surprised after glancing at the task. Since the outbreak of the war between gods and demons, the system has been updated and the main task has been released. This task is not an ordinary task, but a super tedious serial task. As long as the player reaches level 10 and enters the main city, he can find the corresponding NPC to receive the task, upgrade while attacking one chain after another. In the end, he will get the ultimate task. Sun Yang, Jian Wuhan, and others have already received it. For more than a month, they have been tirelessly brushing from level 10 demonized monsters and dungeons. Among them, Sun Yang has the fastest progress. He has already started to attack the big demon king of the demon realm. And Ye Chen, who retired for more than a month, did not receive it at all, but now he is 1 step ahead of Sun Yang, Zhejian. C directly received the ultimate task. Is it because I'm too lucky? No, I must have accidentally met a hidden condition, which triggered this ultimate mission. Ye Chen pondered for a moment, thinking about it, and finally got some clues. With my current strength, I am no match for John, Sun Yang, and others. Even they didn't trigger the ultimate mission, but I did. There is only one reason, that is, the time storm allowed me to reach the realm of the God Emperor. This must be the reason, Ye Chen was almost certain. Anyway, I'll go meet the 5 Emperors. It's rare to trigger the ultimate mission. Maybe it will become an opportunity for me to rise further. Ye Chen made up his mind, and with a flash of white light, he entered the god's domain directly. Once again, he climbed up to the god's domain surrounded by fairy air, and Ye Chen suddenly found something strange. The last time he climbed up to the god's domain was more than a month ago when he dueled with John. At that time, the war between gods and demons had just broken out, and the gods fell. The god's domain was deserted and no one could be seen. And now, Ye Chen looked around and saw people everywhere, and many of them were strong people from the holy domain. Ye Chen didn't know that this was because the 5 emperors couldn't stand the coldness of the god's domain, so they used the law of life to create countless creatures. The creatures created by the god emperors are at least in the holy domain, and if they were not injured, they could even create gods directly. Of course, even if they are at their peak, they generally won't create gods directly. Because even the gods they create are gods without laws. To them, gods without laws are trash. It would be better to create a holy domain. Anyway, in this holy domain filled with immortal energy, the strong men in the holy domain will soon be able to cultivate godhood. Some of them who are gifted will naturally master the laws. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 678. Soon after, Ye Chen flew to the God Emperor Tower, and unexpectedly, the Dragon Emperor came to greet him personally. You know, the Dragon Emperor is almost the strongest of the 5 emperors, and he came to greet Ye Chen. It can be seen that Ye Chen has a lot of face. Lower God. Seeing Ye Chen, the Dragon Emperor's bright golden eyes jumped, and he said with some surprise. Little brother, aren't you in the realm of God Emperor? The Dragon Emperor asked Ye Chen in confusion. Ye Chen shook his head and said, I am a lower god, but I have a method that can allow me to have the realm of God Emperor in a short time. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. This. The Dragon Emperor was a little speechless, stretched out his hand to rub his chin, and the scene was deadlocked. After a long while, the Dragon Emperor finally nodded, okay, then you come with me. After that, the Dragon Emperor waved his hand and sprinkled a divine light towards Ye Chen, just like a colorful bubble that contained Ye Chen. Then, the Dragon Emperor used his divine power to lift the bubble, and both sides rose to the top of the tower at a very fast speed. The top of the God Emperor Tower. Because of Ye Chen's arrival, the other 4 God Emperors all gathered around enthusiastically, but when they found that Ye Chen was just a lower level god, they were surprised and disappointed. This little brother. The Dragon Emperor explained Ye Chen's situation to the other 4 God Emperors, who suddenly understood, but still looked anxious. Hey, what can we do? You know, the demons are very evil and can devour flesh and blood to heal. As time goes by, if the Demon Emperor recovers to his peak state, we will all be finished, a God Emperor sighed. You know, the demons are stronger than the gods, and similarly, the Demon Emperor is also stronger than the God Emperor. If it is a one-on-one fight, the Demon Emperor can crush the God Emperor. The last time the God-Demon War broke out, the Demon Emperor personally killed the contemporary God Emperor. The 5 Dragon Emperors did not dare to neglect it and joined forces to fight the enemy, but both sides were injured. In that battle, the Demon Emperor and the 5 Dragon Emperors were all seriously injured, and their combat effectiveness was only 1/10 of what it was. After the war, the 5 Emperors couldn't wait to put an end to the Demon Emperor. They knew very well that it was best to attack the Demon Emperor only when he was weak. They couldn't wait at all, because the Demon Emperor could devour flesh and blood to heal his wounds, and the time to return to the peak would definitely be faster than that of the God Emperor. Even so, they didn't dare to go to the demon realm. They were too seriously injured in that battle and could not protect themselves. If they forced themselves to go to the dangerous demon realm, they might not even see the Demon Emperor and would die first. When they were at a loss, they found Ye Chen, the new generation of God Emperor. This discovery greatly encouraged them, and they could even tremble with excitement. However, until now, they knew that Ye Chen was just a lower-level god, who could reach the realm of the God Emperor in a short time because of some mysterious and powerful means. It's over. Is it true that my god clan is about to face a catastrophe and there is no other way? Hey, when the Demon Emperor returns to the peak, he will definitely invade my god realm again. It doesn't matter if a few of us old bones die, but this god realm will also be occupied by the demon clan. Well, if that time really comes, the demon emperor will definitely kill all the gods, and then send down humans, elves, giants, and other races to control and enslave them. Then my god clan will no longer exist. The god emperors said one by one, which was extremely desolate. The dragon emperor turned his golden eyes and said, I have another plan, and I need the help of this little brother. No, dragon emperor, with the little brother's strength, even if he enters the demon realm, I'm afraid he won't even see the demon emperor. He only maintains the realm of the god emperor for 10 minutes, which is too short after all. The other god emperors all persuaded. The dragon emperor shook his head. When we invade the demon realm, we will naturally be targeted and killed by the demons. But what if the little brother becomes a demon? Hearing this, the god emperors were startled, and vaguely guessed the dragon emperor's thoughts in their hearts. They hesitated and struggled for a while. The next moment, the dragon emperor actually took out a fresh heart. This heart can be the size of a palm, and the whole body is black. Although it is out of the body, it still shows a magnificent vitality and beats bang bang bang. With each beat, the black heart will swell slightly, and the protruding veins will roar like a dragon, which is hideous and terrifying. This is a demon heart. Among them, level 99 players can become gods by refining the godhood, and can become demons by refining the magic core. Every player can choose freely. If you have become a god or a demon, it will be very difficult to change your race, but there is a way. That is to change your heart. So that's how it is. If you become a demon, it will be very easy to invade the demon realm. After you gain a certain status, you can meet the demon emperor. Then you can use your skills to reach the level of god emperor or demon emperor in a short period of time and destroy the seriously injured demon emperor. Wonderful, really wonderful. What a wonderful thing. I don't agree. Another god emperor roared, the demons are naturally cruel. After you become a demon, you will be unable to control yourself, it will inevitably affect your mind. At that time, even if you kill the demon emperor, he will become the new generation of demon emperor. In that case, what's the point? Yes, you need to be careful about this matter. Oh, I don't think so. That demon emperor is the first generation demon emperor. He has lived for a long time and has tremendous magic power. Even if he kills the demon emperor and becomes a new generation of demon emperor, he is still just a fledgling character. If he really loses his mind, we will still kill him when he returns to his peak. Hey, be careful what you say, this little brother is still listening. I just assumed, little brother, please don't take it personally. The god emperors began to argue fiercely, each holding their own opinions. Suddenly, the dragon emperor waved his hand, signaling everyone to quiet down. With a sharp look in his eyes, he looked at Ye Chen and said seriously, little brother, what is your choice? I'm willing to give it a try. Ye Chen nodded. You have to think carefully. Once you become a demon, you can never look back. Even if we don't attack you, other gods will not let you go. Moreover, although the demons are cruel, they are also sincere. Even if you kill the first generation of demon emperors and become a new generation of demon emperors, they will not recognize you. The human world is the connecting point between the worlds of gods and demons, so naturally there is no place for you. That is to say, once you become a demon, you will not be tolerated by the three realms. The dragon emperor was extremely serious, staring at Ye Chen and said seriously. The other god emperors also stared into Ye Chen's eyes. This kind of thing should not be done carelessly. If I don't go to hell, who will? My wish is for world peace, even if it is doomed, I won't hesitate. Ye Chen smiled with awe-inspiring righteousness. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, Ba Wangshi-san. Chapter 679. The Dragon Emperor's words were half true and half false, and even had a hint of threat. If Ye Chen becomes a demon, will he really be intolerable in the three realms? How is it possible? This virtual game world emphasizes strength. When strength reaches a certain limit, it will override all rules and even change the rules. If Ye Chen really becomes the Demon Emperor, who dares to stop him? Ye Chen's mind is clear, and that's why he pretended to be righteous and said those words. Good. Very good. What a great if I don't go to hell, who will go to hell, what a talent. The Dragon Emperor stroked his beard and laughed, and the God Emperors also smiled. Then they started to change the heart. Without Ye Chen's help, the Dragon Emperor used his divine power to cut a hole in Ye Chen's heart and took out the fresh heart. The visual impact of the heart being taken out by someone was almost off the charts, even though this was a virtual game world. Even though Ye Chen was mentally resolute, he couldn't help but feel his scalp tingling at this moment. Then, the Dragon Emperor changed his hands and stuffed the pitch-black demon heart into Ye Chen's chest. Inside the body, the demon heart was beating wildly, generating tenacious vitality. It madly connected various meridians and dyed them black. In a short moment, Ye Chen's body was full of black, and various organs and internal organs were strengthened. Even Ye Chen's appearance has undergone earth-shaking changes. His skin has turned black and covered with black scales, he even grew demon horns. Overall, he looked ferocious. At this moment, Ye Chen has completed most of the demonization, but has not succeeded yet. At this time, Ye Chen's body generated powerful magic power, and the black source of magic power rushed towards the colorful godhead like a tsunami, covering and surrounding it. Refine, only by refining the godhead and turning it into a magic core, Ye Chen will transform into a demon clan. At this moment, Ye Chen's forehead was covered with cold sweat, and the Dragon Emperor and others were also looking at him nervously, looking forward to success. As time passed, the seven-colored divine body in Ye Chen's body gradually turned half black. Success is just around the corner. Suddenly, the seven-colored divine body clicked and a crack appeared. The divine power leaked out and collided with the magic power. Ye Chen exploded and died. Hey, failed. Sure enough, this is not a simple matter. The five emperors lowered their eyes and glanced at Ye Chen's horrible corpse, sighed, and then the Dragon Emperor took action and directly sprinkled a divine light to revive Ye Chen. Resurrection is resurrection. Ye Chen did not drop in level, but it is an indisputable fact that the seven-colored divine body has a crack. Come again. Ye Chen came back to life and said again. The Dragon Emperor nodded and took out another demon heart. Tried again and again, failed again and again. The Dragon Emperor is the strongest God Emperor. He has countless demon hearts in his hands. He is not afraid of waste and can squander them to his heart's content. But Ye Chen's divine body has a series of hideous cracks. In the blink of an eye, Ye Chen's destroyed godhead had hundreds of cracks and was already in tatters. If this continues, when his godhead is broken and he loses his divine power, he will be downgraded to the 99th level of the holy domain. In that case, there is no need to change the heart. Ye Chen can become a demon directly by refining a magic core. But if the godhead is broken, nearly 20 laws will disappear. In that case, even if Ye Chen becomes a demon, he will be cannon fodder in the demon clan, with a low status. How can he be qualified to meet the Demon Emperor? Hey, what's going on? Isn't the success rate too low? The five emperors also began to get anxious. Come again. Ye Chen shook his head, unwilling to give up. After changing the heart again, Ye Chen gradually became familiar with the feeling, and he could even control the magic power. Just changed the heart, the magic power is not stable yet, so I will control the magic power first, and wait for it to stabilize, and then refine the godhead in one fell swoop. It will definitely increase the success rate. Yachen's eyes lit up, and he suddenly understood something. Suddenly, the magic power in the body surged, rushing towards the dazzling and cracked godhead. At this moment, Yachen's mind moved, controlling the magic power and stopping the wave. After a moment, the surging magic power finally stabilized, just like hands and feet, Yachen could fully control it. Another pounce, it was indeed much smoother than the previous hundreds of times. But this time it still failed, but unprecedentedly, the dazzling godhead was dyed black by more than 90%, which greatly encouraged Yachen. I believe it won't be long before it will be truly successful. Continuing to try, Yachen was suddenly startled, as if a flash of inspiration flashed in his mind. Yes, why do I have to be obsessed with refining the godhead? Since the magic power has been generated, I can completely condense a magic core. A crazy idea popped up in Yachen's mind. Next, Yachen stopped refining the godhead and instead manipulated the magic power, condensing and compressing it next to the godhead. After several failures, Yachen succeeded. Next to the brilliant godhead, there was a dark magic core of the same size as the godhead. A godhead possesses vast divine power, and a magic core possesses surging magic power. System, your race has changed and you have become a demon god. System, congratulations on becoming a demon god. Since you are the first player to become a demon god, you will receive the following rewards: 100,000 gold coins, 50 skill points and 1 title. The god and the demon are one body, and it turns out to be a demon god. Yachen was shocked. He didn't expect that he would become a demon god on a whim. The power of the gods lies in the laws, the power of faith, and the incarnation of the gods. The power of demons lies in the laws and magic skills. That's right, demons also have laws. And unlike gods, the laws of gods are very dependent on the power of faith. For example, a lower-level god who masters the law of fire elements can recruit up to 1 million believers. After full believers, he naturally has the strongest law of fire elements of the lower-level gods, 1 million fire power, 3 million fire resistance. But what if there are not full believers, or even no believers at all? The power of the law cannot be demonstrated at all. And the demon soldiers of the same rank as the lower-level gods, if they master the law of fire elements, will directly increase 1 million fire power and 3 million fire resistance. In other words, although the demons do not have the concept of faith power, they are born with characteristics similar to full faith power. Therefore, the demons are so terrifying. Crush the gods at the same stage. Of course, theoretically speaking, at the same stage, the gods with full faith power should be able to fight the demons to a draw. But this situation is rare. On the player's side, those who have become gods at this stage are all top masters. They are very popular and can easily recruit believers. So John, Sun Yang, and others are not afraid of the demons at all. But NPCs are different. The upper gods can recruit up to 100 million believers at most. Where can they find them? Because of this, the scene of the fall of gods appeared in the battle between demons and gods. As for Long Di and others, they are god emperors. Even if they don't have the power of faith, they are far superior to the upper gods. This is a crushing of the realm. But this does not mean that they don't need faith. On the contrary, they also need faith, and they need a very large amount of faith, a full 10 billion. Where can they find 10 billion believers? It's ridiculous. Because of this, the 5 of them joined forces to barely tie with the demon emperor. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 680. Yachen is now a god and a demon, and is a demon god. He is invincible among the same level. At this moment, Yachen's body has also undergone earth-shaking changes. Black chi overflows, and it seems to condense into a solid body, rippling around like a curtain. At the same time, there are several divine lights, rotating around his body, and his divine power is unpredictable. The 5 emperors noticed his changes at the first time and trembled in horror. Demon God, this legendary existence is born again in front of us. The demon god is invincible in the same level. Isn't this the same as the stinky monkey in Huaguo Mountain? The gods seemed to lose their composure and exaggeratedly made noises. When they thought of Sun Wukong's unparalleled strength, they were all scared and sweating. No. Unlike that monkey. The monkey has achieved the great truth and is open-minded. At least he will not kill innocent people and cause great suffering to the people, but this little thing, who knows if he can keep his original intention? Yes, the demon god is too scary. Once he reaches the emperor realm, he will definitely be the only one who is supreme. In order to avoid a catastrophe, I think we should kill him before he is fully grown. The dragon emperor and others said one by one, and their eyes gradually became gloomy when they looked at Ye Chen. The demon emperor is scary, but the demon god is even scarier. Although Ye Chen is just a rookie now, he is only at the lower god or demon soldier realm, but if he is allowed to develop, I believe he will soon reach the emperor realm. At that time, he will be as lawless as that monkey king, above all rules. Why, you want to kill me? Looking at the gradually gloomy faces of the 5 emperors, Ye Chen narrowed his eyes slightly and sneered. The demons are brutal by nature, and the demon god is half god and half demon, at least much kinder than the demons. Ridiculous, you allow me to become a demon, but you can't tolerate me becoming a demon god? You keep saying that you are thinking about billions of lives. I think you are afraid that I will be more powerful than you and replace your position. What a sharp-tongued little thing. You dare to speak rudely to us before your wings are fully grown? When you reach the emperor realm, what will happen? Kill. The narrow minds of the 5 emperors were exposed by Ye Chen's naked words, and their old faces flushed immediately. They were furious and roared, gathering vast divine power to kill Ye Chen. The dense laws filled the sky, and the divine sound was lingering, enough to make anyone explode and die. Miss. However, Ye Chen ignored this attack, because the 9-layer mirror moved and broke a layer, making Ye Chen immune to death. You are so angry that you want to kill me and shut me up? Rubbish. Facing the 5 emperors, Ye Chen had nowhere to escape and had no power to fight back, so he simply made sarcastic remarks. Ye Chen knew that his becoming a demon god had made the 5 emperors really murderous. Even if he continued to pretend to be submissive, it would be useless. The only thing he could do was to gamble. Sure enough, Ye Chen's undisguised sarcasm and contempt made the 5 emperors furious. They were the god emperors, and they could be said to be the masters of the world. They could get whatever they wanted. When had they ever suffered such humiliation? Because of this, they were full of resentment and murderous intent towards Ye Chen at this moment, and they all used their divine power to attack Ye Chen crazily. Miss. 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 The 9 mirrors moved continuously, making Ye Chen as steady as a mountain, ignoring the attacks of the 5 emperors and saying one harsh word after another. The 5 emperors had old injuries, and they were extremely furious at this moment, and they exerted their divine power with all their strength, which immediately produced bad results. They were injured, vomiting blood in large mouthfuls, and their faces were as pale as paper. Ye Chen smiled coldly, and a smile of conspiracy flashed across his eyes. The 5 emperors were seriously injured, and even the official background information pointed out this. Moreover, the 5 emperors were seriously injured, otherwise, they would have gone to the demon realm and killed the injured and dying demon emperor. With their strength, they are naturally invincible. Even the so-called 12 demon kings are not their opponents at all. Why not? From this, it can be inferred that their injuries have reached the point where they can't even go out for a short trip. And now, Ye Chen's tricks have made the 5 emperors even more injured, and they are in a dying state. The 5 emperors seem to have exhausted their strength, and they all collapsed on the ground, their faces pale and breathing heavily. It seemed that they could not even stand up. Since you old guys want to kill me, it is understandable that I kill you now, right? Ye Chen smiled evilly, rubbing his hands, full of violence. Evil obstacles. Beast, don't even think about it. Even though we are injured and dying, with your low-level demon god's power, you can't break our defense at all, the 5 emperors roared hysterically, causing their injuries and coughing up blood. Ye Chen's eyes were stern, and he attacked frantically, but he couldn't break the defense and only dealt 1 point of damage. The 5 emperors were injured and dying, but they could also recover blood. Ye Chen's attack on them could not break their defense, and the damage he dealt was not as fast as their recovery. The demon god was so strong that even if he was invincible at the same level, Ye Chen's realm was too low after all. Tisk, www.zayashakm, you are lucky, so you should clean your necks and wait for me. When I reach the emperor realm, I will come to kill you, Ye Chen sneered and left. Ye Chen is a demon god. He can freely teleport to the 3 realms of God realm, demon realm, and human realm. If the gods want to improve their realm, they need to kill demons. If the demons want to improve their realm, they can kill gods or devour their own kind. It is naturally more convenient for demon gods. The next moment, Ye Chen teleported to the demon realm. The demon realm was indeed filled with demonic energy, like a castle in a nightmare. Crows, withered and lifeless trees, green fruits that seemed to contain toxins, everything was there, rendering the demon realm into a terrifying purgatory. On the outer streets, demons could be seen everywhere. Most of them were the lowest level demon soldiers, with humanoid bodies, black and wrinkled, with a single horn on their foreheads, and eyes without whites, full of evil, which made people feel scared. Some had just come out of the tavern, still holding bottles of wine and living a life of drunkenness. Some held great power and controlled the slaves to work. As demon soldiers, their status was also different. The demons were gifted, and once they mastered a certain law, it was the most extreme law in the current realm. Of course, some demons only mastered 1 or 2 laws, while some demons mastered dozens of laws. Of course, their combat effectiveness was completely different, and their status was also different. Ye Chen came to the demon realm and behaved very low-key. The body has been completely demonized, and all the divine power has been restrained, and it looks exactly like an ordinary demon soldier. Ye Chen walked casually on the street, wanting to get familiar with the environment first. Along the way, a demon soldier executive walked past Ye Chen, leading a group of ragged slaves.